Peace and blessings, community. I am here. My name is Hadida. I am the founder of This Red Tent. You only love herbals. I have my sister Kai Jimmy. My aunt's here. She is the owner and founder of the Holistic Healers Network. And as you guys know, we said that we were going to be coming to you each and every Wednesday and Friday, talking about building wealth and, of course, optimal health. So I'm excited because tonight we're going to be jumping into life insurance in depth, and it's something that I've been talking to my community about, and I know that Kai Jimmy has been talking to her community as well. And so I'm going to let her talk because she's the one who's going to be teaching us, and then I'll have different questions and things like that for us to communicate about. So, Kai Jimmy, please take it away.
Yes, peace, community. Happy Friday. So, yeah, we want to talk about life insurance and how you can create generational wealth through life insurance. So, there's term life insurance, you got whole life, and you got another option, which is index universal life insurance. That's another whole life insurance policy. But that one, the index universal life insurance policy, is the one that you can create the generational wealth with. The difference between the three, of course, term is just as it sounds, term. So you have it for a term. It could be 25 years, 30 years. But you should also, if that's all you're going to get, first and foremost, please get some if you don't have any. And if that's all you could get is term, then get it. But I would suggest that you get it with something called living benefits. You can utilize that now. God forbid if something happened to you critically, chronically, or terminally, you can have these options incorporated into your policies. So that way you can still sustain yourself and your family and still have your death benefit intact as well. Um, with whole life, well, let me tell you the pros and cons. Of course, the pros is that it's cheaper premiums with term. And yeah, and you could get, of course, higher death benefits. The cons, of course, is that it doesn't create any cash value, and then it's just for a certain amount of time. So at that point, you're older, and then you may or may not have some type of illness, which will increase, your premium. So that's the cons with term. Whole life is a good option as well. You have cash value and your death benefit. You can borrow, against your cash value. It comes out as tax free. So that's awesome as well. But it's fixed rates. So your return on investment would be fixed rate. So let's say you probably will get 5%. It'll never go higher than that. So that is the con with that. But the pros, of course, is that you have whole life. You have it for the duration of your life. Also, get it with the living benefits, the chronic, critical, and terminal illnesses. So, God forbid, again, if anything happens to you, your family is okay, you're okay, and you still have the death benefit. And you can borrow from yourself, it comes out tax free, and create, something else with that, but it's at a fixed rate. So, why we really like the index universal life insurance policies is because the rates fluctuate. They can go, some companies have no caps, some companies have caps. You go up to 15%, you could go down as well, but at least you have the option of getting that higher percentage on your cash value. So we really, really like that. Again, you can borrow against your cash value and go ahead and buy you another, income producing asset like a real estate property or start a business or anything that's going to create some more income. Again, it's no cap that you could go, it doesn't go down. So you're protected. Like if anything happens in the stock market, you have a cap where it can't go down a certain amount. Also, if everybody in the family, right, you could become your own bank. If everybody in the family gets a life insurance policy and it's creating all this cash value, first and foremost, instead of, well, I shouldn't say instead of, but in addition to, because the banks, right, they only give us like 0.5% a year, if that, on our money. Meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
they're lending out our money to other people, and they're not giving us the rewards. They're not giving us the payments that they get from lending out our money. Because every time you put your money in the bank, right away, the bank is lending out your money. They don't give you anything for it, and they're giving you 0.5% a year.
Mm-hmm.
With life insurance, especially the index universal life insurance, you can go ahead and use that as a bank and deposit. Be putting money in there. Of course, there's a limited amount that you could put in, depending on what policy you get and how it's structured. But then you could again borrow against yourself. It comes out tax free and be your own bank. That way you're paying yourself back. Again, you're going out to get this other income to produce an asset. You still got your death benefit, and your cash value is still accumulating, and it's accumulating at all these different rates. So it's a win-win. And everybody in the family, if they have a policy, it's like, okay, so you want to start a business, or you want to go buy something, you want to go get another asset producing income, create that, then you could borrow against yourselves and pay yourself back. So I just feel like it's just a win-win-win. It's something that our community doesn't know about. It's something that we don't talk about. We feel like life insurance, we talk about it's taboo, like, oh my gosh, it's gonna happen tomorrow. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be not, not thoughtful, but it's gonna happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all got to go that way. So why not prepare? Why not capitalize on that? Why not, create this wealth? Because us as in our community, we always have to start over
Mm-hmm.
every generation. Whereas other cultures, they don't teach that. They don't do that. Look up the Rockefeller Trust. You know what I mean? He's been long gone since how many years, and his generations is still living off what he created. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we have the ability to do with the life insurance. And we could do that now, and especially with the index universal life insurance. So it's so important that we help our community and we teach this to them and get it out there, because the time is now. This world is changing. We're going into a digital space. Our economy is changing to blockchain, digital space.
Mm-hmm.
AI is taking over jobs, and people are losing jobs massively. So, what are we going to do? How are we prepared? Life insurance is one of the vehicles we could utilize while we're still alive, and be prepared and leave that generational wealth. So that's what I'm really passionate about, leaving generational wealth, not only, for my family, but teaching it to others. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a network. That's why I like the Holistic Healers Network. It takes a network, me and you,
Yes.
network to help the masses. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I have a question. So at what age? Because so I'm a single mom, but a lot of times, you think, okay, I'm gonna wait till my child turn 15, 20, 25, 30, where they start showing that they're gonna be a problem child or something like that. Like I've heard people say, I'm gonna go get life insurance because they looking at it as a way like, oh, just when they die, I'll be able to pull off of that. They're not looking at the living aspect part of it.
Right.
What age do you suggest that a mom or a family or whoever goes and actually gets life insurance on the people that's in their family?
The earlier the better, because when you're younger, you're more healthy. You know, uh, you'll have cheaper premiums. So
Right,
the
that's what I was
sooner the
reading.
better, and then you have more time, to accumulate all of this wealth, right? And then you can put more into it as well. So the sooner the better, but not all is down or doomed, or if you will. If you're older, if you feel like you're, not old enough, then you could be the owner and perhaps get the benefit for someone else and still utilize and capitalize on that cash value benefit of it. So say, somebody is older, they're a grandma, whatever, they could, perhaps do it for their grandchild. So the grandchild, would have the death benefit and they would be the owner. So they could be like, okay, let me utilize this as a bank, and then let me go ahead and get the cash out of it and maybe perhaps help somebody start a business or buy a real estate property or whatever the case may be. But always, if you're going to do this, please just utilize the cash for something else that's going to create cash. Just don't take it out just to, waste it. Do something that's, beneficial and is an asset to not only you, but to the family as well. And that's what's really important to me. I'm just really like on this generational wealth legacy tip. So I'm just emphasizing that.
So when someone goes and gets it, do they start out with a whole life? Do they start out with a term? Like, which one do you suggest? So, for example, I go and I get a life insurance on all of my children, a life insurance policy on all my children. Which one should I start out with? Should I start out with the Index Universal Life, I believe is how you say it, or do I start like which one?
I would start out with Index Universal Life Insurance with living benefits. Whatever you're going to get it with living benefits. But if you don't have it like that at the time to do the Index Universal Life Insurance, and you have to get the term. It's better than nothing, but get it with the living benefits. That's so important, because we just never know. Look at COVID hit us. You know what I mean? Got monkeypox, this, and that. We don't know what's, you know what I mean? What's happening? So,
every week is something different.
Right. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of people. And
yes.
Yeah, so just be prepared. So if you have to get the term because possibly you can't afford the whole life, the Index Universal Life Insurance, get that. But whatever you get, emphasis on living benefits.
Okay. So, could you tell us some forms of assets that you would consider being worthwhile when we take our life insurance out and actually put it into something that's going to generate more cash? What would you consider some of the forms of assets that we could possibly get?
Well, I keep emphasizing real estate, right? You might want to buy a rental property, preferably multifamily, right? So that way you get in a multifamily, you paying yourself back, you got other people, you getting rental income from that. So it's just a win-win. Plus, it's value in that house, right? You're paying yourself back. Getting it out, have gotten it out tax-free. It's still creating value. It's still growing in your life insurance policy, and you still got the death benefit. That's one. Real estate, cryptocurrency. Whether just like, oh no, the government saying, oh, it's bad, but meanwhile they creating their own. You know what I mean? They creating their own. All the different countries is creating their own. If y'all didn't hear. These other countries are tired of this dollar. They tired of the American dollar. They like, oh yeah, y'all been in control for a long time. It's digital time. It's blockchain time. Now it's time for us to create our own currency, our own digital currency. We don't have to depend on having America be the international currency. You know what I mean? So what you gonna do? Invest. It's changing into I have to give my disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Please do your due diligence. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I had to put that out there. But do your due diligence. Cryptocurrencies. They're going to be utilizing this. It's like what you capitalize on it, because whether you volunteer to be in it and capitalize on it, unvolunteer, you're going to be in the system one way or another. So you might as well take advantage of it. How do you do that? Do your due diligence. But my suggestion is to buy some Bitcoin, because that is the mother of, I don't even want to say cryptocurrency, because that is the mother of, the cryptocurrency. Get that? And I say mother because I'm, the feminine energy,
Of course.
Yes. So, buy some of that. And with these cryptocurrencies, they're divisible, like $1 into pennies. So don't think, oh my gosh, it's 27,000, it's this much, it's that much. Yo, you could buy $5, you could buy $6, whatever. Just buy some and hold it.
Right.
Hold it. You have to get something called And I teach that I can help you. Oh, okay, I can help you. Okay, you have to get something called you buy some, but don't keep it out on these exchanges. When you hear me say exchanges and wallets, just think synonymous is banks. Banks for cryptocurrencies. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to keep them on these platforms. What you want to do, you buy it, and then you buy something called a hard wallet, and these are like Trezors. They look like flash drives, and then you want to store it on that. So when you're doing that, that's the process of taking it off of the online and putting it, away, if you will, so no one, can like hack it.
It's like a digital safe, kind
Right
of.
there, you go.
Okay.
Big time, yeah, protection. So cryptocurrencies, get into that. Some XRP, because they're going to be utilizing these. Ripple and XRP is the same. Is the Ripple is the company, XRP is the coin. You got Quant, you got XLM, you got Stellar, you got Algorand. Buy some Ethereum. But do your due diligence. Look into these tech companies, because the AI is what's happening, right? Look into these companies, invest in these companies, things of that nature, and don't, people change your mindset, because the wealthy, they don't invest with emotion. They don't be like, oh my gosh, every day I'm gonna look at it. What is it doing? What is it doing? Oh, it's not doing this. Oh, I gotta take it out. Oh, I gotta cash it out. Oh, I gotta put it. Oh, whatever. No, I'm sorry, I'm dramatic.
Yeah, you're so animated. I love it. That's why I keep laughing, because you're so animated.
Oh gosh, yeah, that word instead of dramatic. So yeah, just have faith. You know what I mean? Just do your research, see what's going on out there, because it's a whole new paradigm. If you thinking about, oh yeah, I'm still working until I'm 60 or whatever the case, 65, and thinking about Social Security and pensions and all that. Americans in trillions of dollars in debt. They talk about Social Security and pensions is going to be done by 2030. What you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What we going to do? So we got to prepare now, people. We got to prepare now.
And that's something, unfortunately, that I feel like our people don't do enough of. We are very reactionary. We are not pro-action like based
Right.
people. We like to be like, oh shoot, the storm coming. Okay, everybody get your shelter. And then
Right.
half of us get stuck out there without no shelter. So it's like
Exactly.
build your shelter now, build your sources of income now, build your whatever it is now, your investments now. So now when the shelter is needed, you already have it in place, and everybody just gets up underneath it. We aren't trying to build it actively as the storm is coming, and then half of us still getting stuck outside.
Exactly.
Because that's really what COVID and all the other stuff was. That was a huge behind storm. And the people who really got affected was those who were never prepared or never had nothing in place to be able to hold them financially. The only thing you ever hear about, I feel like, in the Black community, especially when you're younger, is like credit cards.
Oh
Having
yeah.
a savings account that's going to yield you like 0.0003% a freaking year. And then and then like every once in a while you might hear somebody talk about real estate. You know what I mean? But there's not any talk about how the wealthy create their stuff. And I said before, and I always say, I'm very, very big on studying communities that have been extremely good at creating wealth and keeping
Yeah.
it within themselves. Like, for example, the Jewish community is very everybody knows that they are very well established, right? They're established in business, and they've done a lot of investments, and they've gotten themselves, in in a place where they're kind of sheltered. But they've been through a lot of hardship. So it's not that they have never been through anything. They've been through hardship. But what happened with them was they were like, yo, y'all got us one time, but y'all never going to get us again. Where with us as a people, we tend to be like, oh, well, they got us that time. Well, we get upset for the moment, but we don't stay upset long enough to put things in place to protect us, so that now when something else comes, we are not getting caught up in the tide. And so, if we created businesses, if we created bartering systems, if we created life insurance policies, like you said, for every person that's in our family. When your child first comes out the womb, the next day before your 6-week appointment need to be with the freaking daggone insurance writer. Like, get life insurance, even though the person's not about to die,
Right.
and have it and use it. Because can you imagine what the cash benefit value would be when that child turns 10, opposed to you being 35 or 45, trying to go get it, waiting for it to accumulate, and then now, at 50, you trying to figure out what you could go invest in. Whereas if you ain't got that when your child was first born, the child is turning 10 and cash value has accumulated times every person or every child that you have. And so now you can see how back in the day, our ancestors used to have 10, 20, 30, 50 children, and they were all, I'm not trying to be funny, but every child was literally an asset because they were helping to work the farm. They were helping to work some kind of aspect of this company that is known as our family. And we could get into trust and a whole another time and maybe bring Ken on and all of that to talk about those different things. But it's like, if we create these life insurance policies for every person in our family and every child is getting older, now we have money when that child gets a certain age. Like, I mean, imagine if they were 13, if we established a business for them and started teaching them at 13, at the age of account, or 12, at the age of accountability from their own life insurance policy. We still ain't even touching ours, but just from theirs, it's accumulated cash value for 13 years. It was extremely cheap because the child was a newborn. And now that money we're taking and we're creating something. Then when you turn 21 and that cash value has continued to build up, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to give you another something. And we're going to create something else. So now you have two working things. Maybe you have a real estate property that's in your name that you put inside of a trust. So now it's sheltered. And you protect yourself with your own life insurance policy. None of it is ever coming out of our own pocket. We're literally generating all of this from a freaking payment we're paying every single month. So for me, it's like a no-brainer. And, it just feels like, man, I can see how it's no longer a stress to have a lot of children. And of course, I'm not promoting, hey, everybody, go have 15 kids because you like first spouses. But what I am saying is, if you are in a situation where you have multiple children, you are no longer looking at this like, oh my God, this is about to be a serious burden financially. And we're not looking at and that's another thing. We aren't looking for income tax returns to be our freaking savings account, because that's another thing. What if we got all our money during the year, and the money that we're collecting from the government that we're looking for income tax returns to be able to be for us? What if we took that money and made that our policy payment for the whole entire year? Okay, I'm going to get an income tax return every single month, since I know I'm getting $120, $150, $200, $300 more on my check because I'm not waiting until the end of the year for the government be my bank account. I'm collecting my money now. I'm taking that money that is make the difference on my check from if I wasn't getting all my cash and I made my, W-2 zero out. So if it was actually yielding a savings account type of thing for me, now that money is actually going into my life insurance policy every single month. And I have a way to be able to pay for that policy. And it's still not affecting me because it's not money that I was ever seeing before. It was going into this bank account that the federal government was paying for us. And, I used to be with Primerica. So, they teach that whole concept of, the term life, and then you take this and you invest the other. But I like the concept of the index universal life way better because it's something that's more long-term. It generates the cash for you. It leaves your death benefits still there. You have the emergency aspect of it and shelter put in place. And so now you're able to take all of that money and be able to make it work for you while you're still living, and then you still are protected, and we don't have to get GoFundMe pages when our people transition, when they die. No, for real, because I think within the last, I'm not even going to say 6 months, I've at least gotten 10 GoFundMes of people who have transitioned, like, oh, can you go help my so-and-so, my so-and-so? And I get it, because death is something that's sudden. But because we all know what's coming, why are we preparing and then capitalizing off of it? Like, you mean to tell me I could capitalize off of my own death? And I can actually utilize that cash to be a benefit for me while I'm living, but I'm prepared and my kids, like they can, like, I don't want to say nobody's gonna be happy when I transition, but like they can be happy when they mama transition because they not in the place where they broke and was never taken care of and they have no assets. Like y'all could be like, okay, well, mama died and she left us all right around here. You know what I'm saying? She ain't just work her behind off. And that's another thing. We work ourselves to death in this life, like especially when you're a single mom, you working, trying to make ends meet all the time. Like you end up, or a single father, I'm not going to say just the women, or a single father, and you're working because it's just one of you creating everything that has to take care of the family, where life insurance creates a cushion that you could have never expected to be there, and you're not dependent upon your credit. You weren't dependent upon no family saying yes or no. You weren't at the whim of nobody else. It's yours. You could pull off of it. It's just like, for me, that was like, when you explained that whole thing to me, I was mind blown over here. Mind blown emoji like 10 times.
Exactly. That part.
Oh, Lord. So, Queen,
mm-hmm.
So we talked about if the person came in and they, you know, what age to get it. That's at birth of your children, if you can. If you can't get it at birth, get it, you know, shortly after birth.
Right.
And for yourself, go get it now. What is there a better way to be able? I'm sorry, you know, I got to give me an instant burning. Is there a better way for me to be able to invest for a person if I am, or for myself if I am, say, 45 or 55? Do you still suggest the same kind of policy? Because not everybody, you know, is coming in, you know, at the same. So you would suggest the same policy.
Yeah. Get a quote. The quotes are free. You know what I mean? Tell me, hey, give me a quote on whatever you think. You know, give me a quote on a term. Give me a quote on a whole that's a fixed rate. Give me a quote on the index universal life insurance that, you know, different rates on my return. You know what I mean? And see what suits you. But like I stated before, whatever you get it with the living benefits, please. So I can't stress that enough, because okay, with terminal illness, if God forbid, if anybody got that, you could get up to 90% of your death benefit. Chronic and critical is up to 50%.
So that means when all those people was out here without no jobs and they were trying to figure out how they was going to get some money during COVID, they would have been protected, especially if they were sick and they were at a place where they were getting ready, like really sick on their, like, I don't want to say on their deathbed, like God forbid, but you know, a lot of people did transition during that time, you know, to be sensitive. During that time, I'm sure that the insurance companies was probably like, how can we change this stuff? Because we ain't trying to pay this money out to everybody, but this is what we have to do. So does it work the same way if it's, say, a virus that could one day be healed, but you're going through trouble right now? Like, do you know, or does that kind of vary depending on insurance companies? How does that work?
Well, you know, like, oh, you know, the COVID, the stipulations, like, oh yeah, no, because you know what I mean, that just came out. But let's just say that, you know, you had something else, like maybe diabetes, or, you know, COPD, emphysema, you know, some heart conditions, things of that nature, you know, and that triggered it, of course. But with the COVID, unfortunately, it was just like, no.
Yeah, because they would have been out of business.
Right.
To be quite honest.
Yeah, there are stipulations, but you know.
But the stipulations still don't outweigh the benefit, because we're talking about something that's generalized across the board. So I can understand, because I mean, I'm in business. I'm not, you know, as a business owner, because that's what life insurance is. When they create it, you're not going to give it too generalized. But if it's a person who has an issue, like you said, and I'm not trying to be funny, but so many people in our African American or people of color community do suffer with heart disease, do suffer with diabetes, do suffer with these different ailments that are known to be part of us. Like, so if I go out of work, like my dad, for example, if he had life insurance, he had it with living benefits, because he had heart issues when he was out of work all of that time, he could have been getting that, some of those different, you know, illness benefits, and then, you know, also utilizing the cash value while he was working on whatever, and when he was home, he could have been building other forms of income, you know, and investments and things like that. So I think that I think it's really sad how much we aren't taught, but I'm grateful that we're being aligned with the community, and you and I are aligned together to be
Yes.
able to share everything that we know, and that everything that we receive, we're sharing it with our community. Um, is there anything else that you think we should know about life insurance that you didn't get a chance to touch on? I know people always ask about premiums, but premiums are pretty much based upon your personal
Yeah.
conditions, right?
Right. Your
And
person.
I do know that the one thing that I noticed that all of the insurance companies asked was, "Do you smoke?" So that must make
Yeah.
a big difference.
Yes.
Do you smoke? What's your age, of course? And do you have a history of this? Like, some of them ask about the history of your family, but as a non-smoker, with a death benefit and cash value and things like that. I mean, I'll share mine. When you did mine was I believe $200. So I felt like that was something very and that was just from one company, but it was
Right.
around the $200 ballpark. But that was like, I ain't mad at that, because I'm looking at that as an investment. So when you go into any kind of investment, you could take thousands of dollars up front and put it into what you're going to be walking into as an investment account, or you could take a little bit at a time and put it into something, and then when you get larger amounts of money, like your income tax return or like return on some other investment that you have out there, you take it and you stuff it into your life insurance and you let it add value. Can you talk a little bit about that part? How does that work? Can you put as much money as you want into your life insurance whenever you want for it to accrue additional value, or how does that aspect work?
So certain companies, depending on everything too, is individualized. It's just on your conditions and the company that you go with. So certain policies and certain companies you can only put maybe 10,000 in, or the higher the premium, then the more you can put in. So yeah, it's different with the different companies, and everybody's situation is different. So it's no one size fits all with this, but you definitely could put more in than your premiums. You know what I mean? So like, as
Okay.
you were saying before, with your tax refund, you know what I'm saying? Instead of going out, yeah, I'm gonna get some Air Jordans, I'm gonna get this, and it's something that's not producing. I'm not saying don't live your life. I'm not saying that, but as African Americans, um, we are the number one consumers for everybody. We have so much consumer power because we keep everybody else in their generations wealthy. Because why? Because we all looking with the blame. Yeah, because success. If I ain't driving a certain car, or if I don't got these bags, or if I ain't got these shoes, or if I ain't got these earrings or watches or whatever, then I ain't nothing. And they over there laughing at you like, yeah, come on with it, come on, keep on getting our generations rich. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, take that money. I'm not saying don't live, but I'm saying don't give it all back to them. Take some of it and put it into your life insurance policy. Like you said, it could be paid up for a year, and then whatever that policy that you have that was written for, there's a bottom line on how much you can deposit. Put that in there. At least it's accumulating at whatever percentage, 15%, no cap percent, whatever. Then, okay, you might want to go and buy, like I said, real estate, or buy something, start a business or something like that, another asset producing vehicle for you and your family to create the generational wealth. Then you could oh gosh, I haven't lost my train of thought, child. Then you could have that still growing at that percentage, and you still could have a little bit of money to do whatever you want to do to live your life. But just always constantly be thinking in the mind, having the mindset that I want to create wealth, because this world is, like I said, AI, digital is tech, and
It's
jobs
taking
are
over.
not going to stay. Right.
Peace for whoever's coming in. Feel free to enter any questions you might have about life insurance or utilizing life insurance as a form of investment. and building wealth with life insurance, because that's kind of where we're putting our topic around. Every Friday, we're going to be coming with a different topic, but today we're talking about utilizing life insurance and the cash value inside of life insurance and the death benefit inside of life insurance to be able to create generational wealth. And I think it's something that's really, really important. Just to give a real quick synopsis, I'm Hadida from This Red Tent and You Only Love Herbals, and I have my sister Kajimi here with me from the Holistic Healers Network. And we decided we were going to come together and start to share with the community everything that we have learned about creating generational wealth and create. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Well, tag them. Somebody said I wish I could tag everyone. Send it out to everybody that you possibly know, or even share the link, because we went through a lot of in-depth knowledge in the beginning of the live, really talking about how to utilize the money that you get from your income tax return. Like right now it's income tax season, go get you a life insurance policy, pay for a couple of months, in advance, and make sure you get it with the cash benefit, that cash benefit and death benefit, and all of those other aspects of it that Kajimi has talked about, in order to be able to create investments for your family. And one thing that, just to recap really quickly, Kajimi, one thing that I never really paid attention to was the idea of you getting it when your children are first born, opposed to waiting until they go older, and I was using the example of okay, let's say that I would have got it when Rakaya was first born, and now she's, 14, about to be 15. Rakaya at her 12th birthday, I could have been like, here you go, baby, here go a piece of investment property that we have gotten, not from mommy's pocket, but from the cash benefit that has accumulated inside of this life insurance policy that we pulled off. We use that as our own bank, like you were explaining. We pulled off of the life insurance as our own bank, and then we took that and we got a piece of, investment property. And then when she turns 21, here goes a business. Oh, you want to be a business owner? Go and put your money here. You want to be a business owner? Go do this. Go do, So we are basically creating our own wealth to be able to build what we want to build for our families and be able to keep the money in-house. And we don't have to look at banks. We don't have to look at credit cards. We don't have to look at Aunt Susie or Uncle Tom who got money. We could just go straight to our own stuff and create our own money just off of having children. And it's no longer like, oh, I got to wait until income tax time come around for me to be able to make moves, because that's unfortunately what a lot of our community do. They wait until income tax season to be the thing that allows them to be able to make a move, when we could just pull the money off of our life insurance policy that we've been paying all year long. And that was mind blowing for me, and it still is mind blowing, because I never was in a family that was taught to get life insurance. When my father transitioned, we did not have life insurance for him. Thank God he had other things in place, like 401ks, which I would like for us to talk about that in depth. What other forms of investment we could do with jobs. If you do have a 9-to-5 and you are working at a company, what are some other ways that we can actually have shelter in the 9-to-5 world, other than 401ks? Because a lot of these things are highly taxed when you go to take your money out, and there's ways for us to be able to transfer our cash so that we aren't taxing it in that way, and we're able to keep that money in our pocket, such as investments and trust, which we want to bring on. So I really think it would be dope if next week we can cover crypto. Thank you, baby. If we can cover cryptocurrency next week, and then maybe we could talk to Ken and have him come on and do a presentation for our community, because Kajimi and I have been learning a lot about trust, creating trust, and being able to have a covering over us inside of a trust. This is stuff that you only hear the real wealthy talk about, but this is how they keep their wealth and they create their wealth, ongoing for years and years and years, hundreds of years to come. Like, you literally take a trust, you make your children the trustee, or people that you can trust around you, the trustees, and so let's say, for example, Kajimi's daughter wants to do a business, and she and I we're the trustees of this particular trust. She want to do a business. Okay, come and tell us your business idea. Okay, yeah, we got the cash. So we pull out the $20,000 and we give it to her as a form of an investment for her. And so now she's able to, Absolutely. So somebody said, yep, private irrevocable trusts are the bomb for business and private wealth. Absolutely. And that's what we want to have Ken come on and talk about. He's really well known in Atlanta and DC, in Washington, DC. So I feel like it would be awesome for him to come on and do a presentation for both of our communities, maybe, really blast it out there and get as many people as we can on so that people can really learn about how to protect themselves and really create shelters for the wealth, because the only reason that we end up in a place where we are not able to protect our assets the way that we want to is because we're heavily taxed and we have no way of being able to shelter ourselves because we don't have those things in place to become shelters for us. So if we learn how to put those things in place, we can make $1,000,001. Remember when Trump was president, everybody's like, oh, he only paid $700 something. That was actually legal. Brother man know how to cover his money and cover his hotels and own absolutely nothing and put it all into a trust. And so Trump, the person, owns nothing. He don't even own his own paycheck. It all goes into his trust. And so now when the income tax come around and the IRS get to asking questions, you taxing me on $1,000, brother. You know what I mean? Like you're taxing me on absolutely nothing. I have nothing that you're taxing me on. Go and go look at the, oh, that's right. You can't see nothing because it's inside a trust. You know what I mean? Like complete
own everything. They said run everything and own nothing. Yes. With the trust.
Yes. Yes, that's some Rockefeller stuff right there. Yes. And I remember when we were learning about the trust and everything, I was like, yo, it hit me. Y'all know I'm always having these scripties. It hit me why Jay-Z named his thing The Rock, right? And he's like, oh yeah, you with the rock and everybody like, oh yeah, The Rock. No, because he really is like, if you listen to his music and his albums, especially as of late, he been dropping nuggets in there. He had a line that said something like, and I wish Sean was on his live because he'd be able to tell me better than I can. And I probably won't batch it up. But he said something like, I went and I bought a piece of art for $1 million. Then that joint turned to $2 million. And then he said something like, in 3 years, it was $8 million. I can't wait to give it to my children. Like, what? And then you put all of that inside your rock trust, right? And so now you building your trust based upon the Rockefellers. Everybody like, oh yeah, it's the rock. No, like he's telling you, I'm building my wealth just like the Rockefellers did, and I'm dropping y'all straight knowledge in my music, and I'm telling you how to do it if you pay attention. Especially in the limelight, because we all know that the higher up you get, the less you can say and be out there about to be able to say this is how we doing it. So you got to find creative ways when you're an artist to put it into your music to be able to put your people down. If they really listening, they can catch it. You know what I mean? If they in conscious mindset. Anyway, I'm going into deal.
But just the name trust anyway, right? Just that name alone, like. Yeah, trust in this. It's the trust that you want to be protected. Trust that you want to create generational wealth and legacy. Just the name itself, right? We have to look deeper into words and the meaning that break them down. Things of that.
Also, maybe next week. Well, not next week because we're gonna get into crypto. But one of these weeks we could talk about whole energy that's spelling, like which the words that we say creates. I would love to bring B on, Bree and B, the couple. I love them anyway. They like my, anyway, I'll go and help them birth their children anyway. So I would love to bring them on for a live and for us all to build about the words and the consciousness that your words create for you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, blessings. It's like, no, not blessings, because that's saying be less. You literally projecting on me to be less. So say blessings. Like all of those different kind of things that people don't pay attention to. It's like, yeah, now I don't understand. I overstand. You know what I mean? Like those kind of conscious sayings that we don't pay attention to, and we don't really see what we're projecting with our mouths and creating our own realities, every single day. So we got to bring them on 1 week as well. All right, community, I love you. We are getting ready to end. This is
Yes.
I feel like this is really, really needed. I'm grateful for all the community that tuned in tonight. If you know anybody that can use a conversation about life insurance, or they're going through something, they're trying to figure out how to get their coins together, they just got an income tax return, tell them and share this video, help them to get their finances together and help us to build generational wealth. Specifically, and y'all know I love everybody, but I'm talking to my people of color. So in our community, help our people to build generational wealth.
Yes.
With that, I'm going to say peace. Kai Jimmy, say peace.
Peace, beloveds.
Peace, y'all. See y'all next week. Same time, same hour.
Yes.